Hi there, I'm the CRM Ninja, and welcome to another episode of The Oops Factor. Today, I have a very honored guest, Sam Smith. Welcome.
Hi there.
Now, although it's not going to be aired for several weeks, it's actually a really special day for Sam today, on the day that we're recording, because today is his first day as a consultant with Dynamics and Power Platform.
Way.
You can all see how excited he is at the thought to be tossed fresh into this pool.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yes, but he's not as new as you think to it, because Sam has been a recruiter, so on the other side of the fence for a while in the area, and also has quite a number of certifications under his belt. So, welcome to the show, and welcome to this wonderful life that we live.
Thanks very much. I suppose for any of you who haven't looked at my LinkedIn profile, so before becoming a Dynamics recruiter, I worked in the world of, as you might have been able to see from Ewan's wonderful background, I was an opera singer for a good 10 years.
Yes,
and
the background.
The background does give it away somewhat, and I have sung on that very stage at the Royal Opera House. So it's probably one of my highlights.
Just to point out here, although I know of Sam's background as an opera singer, I had no idea that he sung on this stage. So wow, what a coincidence!
That very stage, you just knew when you were choosing the backdrop. My backdrop isn't quite as exciting. It's my spare bedroom / home office. But yeah,
that's fine.
I worked in. I tried in my own. So I worked in the world of opera for about 10 years.
Wow.
I lived out in Germany for 2.5 years, which I suppose
that's really serious.
It was quite serious, yeah. I suppose in terms of formative experiences, if you want to sort of mix things up in your late 20s, I definitely suggest moving countries, changing jobs, and trying to learn a language you've never even heard of before. It's definitely the way.
Hold on. You didn't speak German before this?
No, so the funny thing is I'd learned to sing in German. Like sort of for everything I sang in German, it would be a word-for-word translation. I would know as I was singing it what I was singing about. But in terms of all the wonderful world of German grammar, my favorite German joke, Der die das Käse, what is the article? Don't know. That's pretty much how I would approach most of my German learning. In my late 20s, I moved out to Germany, to this little town in the very north of Germany called Flensburg, or Flensburg, as I would try and say with my very best German pronunciation hat on. And I was just sort of thrust into rehearsals all in German. And my opera agent at the time had sort of just said, "You're going to love it. It's going to be great. Everyone's just going to speak English to you. You'll pick it up as you go." I sort of walked out onto this, darkened stage with a sort of full theatre out there and a sort of direction team, just shouting orders at me in German. I was kind of, no, here? Yes, I'll stand here and sing there. Yes. So, it was a very formative experience.
So when you went to the supermarket or you went to buy a loaf of bread, did you sing your order?
Alas,
I'm not going to try and attempt it here.
No, it's fine. I mean, I sort of would try and it was one of those things I used to have to kind of G myself up for going to the supermarket, because my opera agent had told me, "Don't worry, everyone speaks English there. It's all going to be fine." And I suppose if you go to sort of a large centre like Berlin or Stuttgart or something like that, and yes, everyone does speak English to a really high level. But if you're sort of just going to the supermarket, you don't even know how to say, sort of, where is the milk? No one's going to be able to help you, sadly, unless you can say it in German. So it was kind of thrust into the deep end.
It's true. My wife is Dutch, and we go to Holland regularly, and big cities and also the little villages. But my experience is that I found that at least understand English to a point, even if they can't speak it back to me, because my Dutch is very limited, although I am working on it. After 6.5 years of marriage, I think it's good to get a couple more words.
It's a good time to start, definitely.
Yeah, good time to pick it up in earnest.
Yeah.
So I found that, and generally traveling through Europe, people will understand English to a point, or at least some pidgin English, even if they can't speak it themselves.
Yeah, indeed. But again, I think also when you're sort of traversing a country is one thing, but when you're working and you're kind of obviously your professional reputation is reliant on the fact that you can understand, okay, go stage left at this point, sing now, you're looking at this person, you think, oh, she's beautiful, sing at her, then look out and do this. And of course, I'd been very used to at least being able to do my job to a certain standard, and then being completely reliant on an assistant director to say sort of like, and now, Sam, at this point, you're very, how do you say, with anguish that this is happening. And then if I was sort of getting the requirements, as it were, the singing requirements through the lens of 2 or 3 different people. So it took, and then I sort of just got on with it, went to night school when I wasn't singing, and tried to learn German as quickly as possible. So,
I'm not going to quiz you in German, so you don't need to worry. But
that's
I do understand. I do understand that your Oops Factor story that you have to share with us is actually about opera.
It certainly is. So, funny enough, to give this a little bit of context. So, when I sang on that stage behind you, I was working as a freelance artist, or as we could say in the sort of world of the dirty world of contracting, as we would say in recruitment. But in Germany, they have a very different setup. So you would sort of, even if you're performing as a soloist, you would just be under contract for a specific opera house. And so I sort of won this contract and moved out into the middle of nowhere in Germany. And I'd gone from quite happily maybe doing 6 weeks on an opera, doing a couple of shows, then move on to the next project, learn my music. But this is an entirely different world altogether. So it would be 6 new productions over the course of about 8 months over the season, which in terms of sort of learning, memorizing all the music, and then the actors sort of blocking an opera where everyone stands and where they deliver their lines from the sort of dramatic concept, that in itself is a stage to go through, and that takes weeks and weeks and weeks. And so we would do this 6 times, and then so say you've done the first one, you've then got to perform that opera maybe twice per week for the remainder of the season. Then you'd add the second show, more shows of that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it would sort of accumulate as you'd go. So in my first year, they kind of took it relatively easy on me. I only did about 100 shows. But
only 100?
Only 100, yeah. But I mean, so yeah, every other, 1 out of 3 nights I was on stage and singing away. But and of course, it's one of those things with opera. It's not just a kind of mental exercise. It is a genuine, singing over, as you can probably just see in the orchestra pit behind you, singing over about 100 people in an orchestra pit who can make a lot more noise than any single human can, is quite a physical event. So doing that 100 times per year was quite difficult. But anyway, so the Oops Factor story that I thought I'd share with you was I basically, the long and the short of it was that I'd been working 2 months without a day off. So whether it was rehearsals, performances, whatever. And I was performing for what was called a Landestheater, which basically means that you go and visit other theatres as well as your
travelling opera.
Travelling, exactly. I was but a travelling player. And but the issue was that you do so many performances. It sounds absolutely ridiculous, but I had 4 different operas on at that time, and I genuinely had got into sort of the middle. I think it was Act 3, and I'd completely forgotten where, what, how, what on earth I was doing. And I had sort of 2 options. I either sort of like went up the stairs to make up to get into the next costume for the next act, or I went back on stage and did my next line. And I was sort of like, just went up the stairs to the so in German it's called the Maske, or literally mask for makeup, which makes perfect sense. And I went in there, and my makeup artist, and it's very glamorous, I had a makeup artist. She actually sort of like, bist ein bisschen früh, oder? Like, you're a bit early, aren't you? I was like, no, we'll go. Sat down, and just as I sat down, I heard my cue music for the next line. I looked up, I was like, literally, I couldn't say anything because it was too late. I was literally 3 floors separated from the stage. So there wasn't a case of just kind of going, oh goodness, I'll get back to stage. It was just.
You couldn't sort of lean round the door and just sing very loudly.
Alas, not, no. So, and and of course, the worst thing was, I heard it, I knew it was happening. It was one of these like disasters that just kept continuing and continuing for 2 minutes. I just heard my lines like where I should be singing and where I should be doing things. And I heard, the stage manager over the stage, Smith, Mr. Smith, Smith. I was like, it's gone. It's gone. And so then, but I also had another hour of this opera to perform. So I just thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? And in the end, I came off stage at the very, very end, and my boss, and this is a great difficult thing to put across, but he's called the General Intendant, which is quite a title. He's basically the big boss of it, basically for artistic matters, financial matters, anything to do with the running of the opera house. Everything went through him. And he was, I don't know how to describe him, had a very interesting hairstyle, sort of something that you would sort of think, a mixture of someone who worked in finance in the 70s with a flared collar. I hope that gives you some form of professionally.
just a little bit, yes.
Just a little bit. Like, so came off, so I basically got through the rest of the opera, the next hour, and then he was just waiting in the wings at the end of the opera. Just like this. I just thought, that's me, back to London, bye Herr Smith sort of thing. And the stage manager, she ran straight across. She said, all in German, just sort of like, she basically explained in great detail how it wasn't my fault. She was like, we had a technical problem. We sent Sam to the master. He's done his very, very best. All I can say is that we're all very sorry. It wasn't any one person's fault, but it was a collective problem. I'm sure you understand. And I was kind of like,
you were standing there with a slight shell-shocked expression on your face at that point.
Yeah, exactly. It's like whatever she said. Yeah, exactly. And basically, and I'd had no opportunity to speak with her before this moment. This was all, I just had to go through the opera and had it in the back of my mind of just like, oh my God, this is horrendous. But anyway, she basically absolutely covered for me. Like, there's awesome. No doubt about it at all. It's totally covered for me. And I suppose really obviously the oops factor of this is that you never know what someone might do for you or when you're going to need someone to do something for you.
Very
and it's
true.
not even meant as a horrible manipulative thing or anything like that. It's that we have so many interactions in our daily lives, and goodness knows we sadly have very different sorts of interactions at the moment. But the interactions that we have on a daily basis with people that you might think are completely inconsequential, or interactions that you think are inconsequential, they mount up very, very quickly. Yep. And luckily, me and Leonie got on like a house on fire. We're all very, very nice to each other, and she basically covered for me. And it was that. When I was thinking of sort of different things that might sort of sum up, obviously things that had happened to me in a past career, but things that I would sort of take forward to, it's whether we build relationships, whether it be with co-workers, with customers, in any facet of our lives, you just never know when certain people are going to have that kind of effect. And it might be a bit dramatic to say that she kept my job for me, but who would have known? Yes, exactly. So yeah,
as you say, it's very important. With those we interact, we don't know who they are, what impact they may have, either currently or in the future. So always treat everybody with dignity and respect and mature.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wow, that was definitely a unique story. Nobody has come on yet who has an opera background, so thank you for sharing that with us.
Not at all.
Now comes the part where I ask who you would like to nominate to see on the show, who you think has a good oops factor to share.
It's me. I would love to actually, do you know what? I would love to pass on the baton as harking back to my previous year and a half in recruitment. Have you spoken with Alison yet on the show?
I have spoken with Alison. She was one of the first people on the show.
Okay. I would pass the baton on to a former colleague of mine at Cognitive Group called David Scallon, who I'm sure will have some wonderful CRM oops factor to pass
Brilliant. No problem. I will touch base with you offline and arrange introduction.
Lovely stuff.
Wonderful. Well, Sam, once again, thank you so much for coming on the Oops Factor and sharing your story. Viewers, we hope that you've enjoyed the show and the wonderful background that coincidentally Sam has appeared on. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, check out the rest of the Oops Factor playlist, and check out the blog. Have a wonderful day.